All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mindy, can you establish a quorum, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mindy Bunn, and I'm the clerk to the board. I'll begin by sharing some information about how public participation will be organized for today's meeting. If you wish to make a verbal comment on one of the board items or during the public forum, you must be attending either in person, through the Zoom platform, or calling in via phone. If you're currently watching the webcast on CalSpan or YouTube, but would like to make a comment, please email me now at agenda5@waterboards.ca.gov to request a Zoom link. If you're already on the Zoom webinar and wish to speak but have not pre-registered, please raise your hand and you'll be called on. If you're using a computer or tablet, click the raise hand button. If you're calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Generally, in-person commenters will be called on first, followed by Zoom and phone participants. If you're here in person and wish to speak but haven't completed a blue comment card and given it to the staff member, or if you're on Zoom and haven't raised your hand, you may miss your opportunity to speak. Staff will call each commenter by name and your microphone will be unmuted. If you're calling in by phone, staff will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. For the record, please state your name and who you are representing before speaking. This is especially important for those testifying on an item. Unless you've been granted additional time, each speaker will have 3 minutes. A bell will sound when your time is up. Please speak from a quiet location to minimize background noise. And finally, a friendly reminder to our board members, presenters, and staff, please mute yourself when not speaking to reduce background noise. And if possible, keep your camera on when speaking. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mindy. And again, good morning, everyone. This is the 604th board meeting of the California Regional Water Quality Control Board, Central Valley region. Today, we're in Clovis, California. So thank you to our hosts in lovely Clovis. We called this meeting to order a little bit ago at 9:02. And a quorum is present. Thank you, Mindy, for reading those instructions. I'm Nick Abdus, the chair of the Central Valley Water Board. This time, I'd like to introduce the other members of the board. We have to my left, Elena Lee Reeder of Sacramento. We have Mark Bradford. Sorry, Mark. I got thrown off of my... You go. I'm sorry. It was I didn't sleep at was it the Howard Johnson's or whatever tonight last night? Anyway, Denise Kadara from Allensworth, Sean Yang from Sacramento, and we have Art Baggett on the phone from El Portal. And again, I'm Nick Abdus from Sacramento. Nicole Morgan is our state water board representative, and she will be participating in this meeting and will be providing an update a little bit later. I'll now introduce Executive Officer Patrick Palupa, who will introduce his staff.
Again, I too would like to express my gratitude for the city of Clovis for hosting today. A number of years ago, we did start doing our meetings, one meeting up in Redding and one meeting down in the southern part of the region, whether it's Bakersfield or Fresno or Clovis. So it's great to get down here, great to see. And thanks for arranging for just about the nicest weather you can possibly get in Fresno and Clovis. To my far left, we have Kennedy Knight and Chris Moskal with the Office of Chief Counsel. To my immediate right, we have Jessica Yar with the Office of Chief Counsel. Down from the dais on my right is Mindy Bunn, Board Chief of Staff and Clerk to the Board. And to her left, Adam Lapitz, Assistant Executive Officer in the Rancho Cordova office. We have Christina Shoup and Clint Snyder and JJ Baum, also Assistant Executive Officers from the board in the audience today. And again, thanks to the Fresno team who did all the groundwork. Michelle, my gratitude goes out to you for all the groundwork for the tour yesterday and for making the arrangements for this meeting here today. So thank you so much. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Patrick, for that. And before we get going here, I'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this point, board member communications. I do also want to extend my gratitude as well, Patrick, to our hosts at Terra Nova Ranch and O'Neill Winery yesterday for those tours. They were very informative, and I really enjoyed that experience. So with that, any communications for board members from the last meeting, since the last meeting? Go ahead, Denise.
Good morning. I'd like to say that on the 11th of March, Allensworth presented our community plan to the Planning Commission. It was approved by a 5-0 vote. And on the 31st of March, the Tulare County Board of Supervisors approved of our Allensworth Community Plan with a 5-0 vote. So a lot of work went into to this plan. About 5 years, we did the work with no funding from anyone starting out. And it addresses climate adaptation and resiliency. It addresses many of the programs and water issues that we talk about here in our meeting. And just glad that we have that opportunity to have a plan, and a lot of implementation work is already underway. And then I participated in a Zoom, not a Zoom, but a webinar with the California Natural Resources Agency on drought. Drought was discussed and quite a bit of information was shared. So you can always learn more about how to do better in the economy and the times that we're in. So a wealth of information. And then I'd like to just conclude and thank Michelle for organizing the tours yesterday and all the staff that participated. You do a great job in educating the board and understanding a lot of the issues that we face, and just going out on the tour, being educated and seeing the work that's being done, from looking at the ranch and how they were dealing with organic farming, and as well as using vermiculture to deal with getting all the waste treatment corrected with the winery. It's quite a bit of information, and we thank you guys for organizing all of that information for us.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, good morning. I just wanted to add that I enjoyed the tour yesterday as well. And one particular thing I want to mention is that, we often visit farm lands, and a lot of time, their ground water level is dropping. And yesterday, it's good to hear that that particular farm is practicing recharging groundwater, and that's very great. They are the pioneer, and they're doing great thing for others to use the same technique. So just very pleased to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you, Sean. All right. Moving on at this point, we're going to head to the public forum section of our agenda. If you are a person in the meeting and wish to speak but have not yet submitted a speaker card, please fill out a blue card at the reception table and give it to a staff member. If you're on the Zoom platform and wish to speak but have not registered, please raise your hand now. I will ask Mindy. Mindy, do we have anyone that's requested to speak on a topic not on the agenda today?
Yes, we have a couple. The first one would be Joanne Kipps, representing herself.
Thank you.
Good morning, board members. My name is Joanne Kipps. I'm a resident of Fresno County, California registered civil engineer, and retired senior water resource control engineer. My topic is the discharge of food processing wastewaters to land for treatment and disposal. As you know, compared to domestic sewage, food processing wastewaters have high biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD. In 1972, the Clean Water Act was passed, and federal grants were issued to publicly owned treatment works to upgrade their facilities to meet new national treatment standards. It soon became apparent that high BOD wastewaters from food processing discharges would require pretreatment prior to sewer discharge. In 1977, EPA published a document on conventional pretreatment technologies for food processing wastewater. The document also recommended land treatment and disposal as a viable alternative to sewer discharge and identified hydraulic and BOD loadings associated with existing systems. These include a maximum BOD loading limit of 100 pounds per acre per day, as averaged over a summer processing season. Most waste discharge requirements for Central Valley food processors include a BOD loading rate limit. Often it is 100 pounds per acre per day, as averaged over a single application cycle. Many of these waste discharge requirements acknowledge this 50-year-old recommended BOD loading rate was for nuisance abatement. Over 20 years ago, in response to evidence that board-authorized BOD loadings were unreasonably degrading and polluting groundwater, staff proposed certain discharges be subject to Title 27 land treatment regulations. In response, industry requested staff delay implementing this regulatory change to develop waste discharge guidelines that, in effect, ended up defending the status quo as adequately protective of groundwater. These include the Manual of Good Practice for Land Application of Food Processing / Rinse Water. The manual proposes the use of a theoretical model to design site-specific BOD loading rates. I intend to speak at future public forums to describe soil treatment processes and to question a key assumption in the manual's model regarding the rate of oxygen diffusion through soil. So until next time, thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. Anyone else, Mindy?
I have a Jose Aguilar who requested, but I don't see him on Zoom. He is, okay. Jose Aguilar represent.
All right, Mr. Aguilar, please proceed.
Good morning, members of the board. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Good morning. My name is Jorge Aguilar, and I serve as superintendent of Wonderful College Prep Academy. We're a free public charter school located in Delano, California. We have the privilege of serving approximately 1,800 students from preschool through 12th grade. Our school is located on the easternmost end of the city of Delano. In fact, there are no neighborhoods east of our school. Our school is located across the street from a large neighborhood with a city park where students and families gather to enjoy outdoor activities. In fact, our school's baseball and softball teams practice at that city park. In addition, as part of our school design, we also offer staff housing, which is located adjacent to the school, and I reside in one of our homes. Approximately a mile east of our school and neighborhood is a grape growers processing plant. And since my appointment in 2023, and because I stay in one of our program's housing units, I've personally experienced the foul odor that staff and families have complained to me about, which emanates from this processing plant. We have worked with Mr. Jeff Hanal, who has been extraordinarily responsive to our concerns to address this foul odor. And we appreciate the efforts being made by Mr. Hanal and stand ready to continue a partnership with you as the board to address this matter, because neither students nor families nor staff should have to endure this ongoing frequent condition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar. All right, moving on. Item number 6. Oh, wait, any others?
No.
Thank you, Mindy. At this point, we have the executive officer's report. It's an informational item. Prior to each meeting, the executive officer works with the board clerk and the board's program managers to compile a report on the status of the board's programs, its staffing, and many different initiatives the board is working on. If you are a person in the meeting and wish to speak but have not submitted a speaker card, please do so and give it to a staff member. If you're on the Zoom platform and wish to speak but have not registered, please raise your hand now. Our Executive Officer, Patrick Palupa, is available to respond to any questions to this report. I'll hand it over to Mr. Palupa at this point.
It's pretty simple today. Just let me know if you have any questions and I'll be able to answer them.
All right, Mindy, has anybody requested to speak on this item?
No.
All right, do any board members have any comments on items in the Executive Officer's report? All right. Well, that was an informational item, so thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes. Are there any edits or corrections to the February 27th, 2026 meeting minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mindy, please take the roll.
Board Member Kadara,
Yes.
Board Member Bradford,
I'll abstain since I missed that meeting.
Board Member Yang,
Aye.
Board Member Baggett,
Aye.
Board Member Baggett. Okay,
Aye.
thank you. Thank you. Vice Chair Lee Reader,
Aye.
Chair Abdus.
Aye. All right, at this, we're on to item number 8, which is consideration of uncontested items. So the board will consider items 11 through 15 with the late amendments. Or 10, excuse me, 10 through 15. Thank you. Is that correct, Council? Yeah. Okay. At this time, this is the time and place for a public hearing to consider uncontested items 10 through 15. If you're a person at the meeting and wish to speak, but have not yet submitted a speaker card, please fill out the blue card at the reception table and give it to a staff member. If you are on the Zoom platform and wish to speak but are not registered, raise your hand now. Mindy, do we have any folks that wish to speak on the uncontested calendar items?
Yes, we do. We have 2. The first one is Alfonso Manrique, representing AM Consulting Engineers.
All right. Please come up to the podium. Or is it
That's-
online? I'm
that's-
sorry.
As needed, I think we'll go with Mr. David Wells first.
We have Mr. David Wells, who is an interested person.
Mr. Wells, please come on up. Dakota, may I ask you the 3 minutes on the counter, please? Do we have a timer? No, there we go. I'm sorry, ours is frozen right here. Go ahead, Mr. Wells. Thank you.
I think I have some slides that if they can come up, I'd like to have them come up on the screen. Oh, I see. Okay. I am a long historic citizen of Fresno County, about 58 years. And so I was raised on a farm, and I also developed and created the world's first microcomputer hobbyist users group that was nationwide back in the day, 1972. And so I have a number of patents, and this I just recently invented is a computerized valve control for sewage, where we can take the anaerobic digester and a pyrolytic gasifier and a normal gasifier that would gasify wood, and a pyrolytic gasifier that would gasify rubber tires, and create a trifecta of methane gas that would be blended in a blending tank and then in turn put into a jet turbine engine that would spin a generator to generate electricity. And this has the world's first trifecta processing, according to what artificial intelligence tells me. So there's a number of patents involved in this system that I've filed for. And this is one of them, where the artificial intelligence microcomputer data center controls multiple valves to mix and blend the methane gas before and also control the scrubbers before it goes into the being burnt into the jet turboprop that spins the generator. So next slide. And this is a representation, schematic representation of what I envisioned the Fireball unit to be if all parties collaborate and we take and utilize the 20 million to get more effective processing of the water that comes through the plant. So with this methodology, the water is distilled from the heat of the turbine, and you eliminate the elements that would not be eliminated by a bubbling aeration sewage processing plant that's now proposed for Fireball. So there are several carcinogenic elements that are not eliminated through a bubbling aeration plant. And with my process where it passes over, the water is actually distilled and eliminates those chemical elements.
Mr. Wells, I'd ask you to conclude your remarks, please.
So just flip through the schematics. So this is the exchange distillery that's heated off the jet turbine, and then this is a schematic of the processing plant. This one happens to show a rail, so we can process all over the state and truck it in by rail and pre-process in the tank cars before it got to the plant. These are schematics of layout of the plant. And this is a model of the jet turbines generators. Just keep going.
Yeah, I'd ask you to conclude your remarks,
This is
please.
the latest drawing showing the trifecta of both all rubber tires, anaerobic digester for food waste and all of that kind of organic waste, and then wood, all the wood waste that comes in from almond tree clippings and all of those kinds of things. The wood that's in the urban pickup on trash days and all of that kind of cellulose matter.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Do we have anyone else, Mindy?
I believe online we have Alfonso Manrique. No? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't have a card for you.
Do you wish to speak, sir?
No. Okay.
Okay. All right, I think that concludes the public comments at this point. Are there any late revisions?
We do have late revisions on agenda item 10, Aerojet, and agenda item 12. The revisions are changes in monitoring and some clarifications.
Thank you for those. And I do want to extend my thanks to the folks at Aerojet and other interested parties in working with staff, obviously, to move that to the uncontested calendar. We certainly appreciate that. Does council have any legal issues that we need to discuss?
No legal issues.
All right. At this point, I will take a motion and a second for items 10 through 15. Not all at once.
I'll make a motion, approve items 10 through 15 with amendments.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Mindy, please call the roll.
Board Member Kadara,
Yes.
Board Member Bradford,
Yes.
Board Member Yang,
Aye.
Board Member Baggett,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lee Reader,
Aye.
and Chair Abdus.
Aye. All right, at this point, I'd like to welcome our State Board Liaison, Nicole Morgan, who's here to provide an update. Nicole, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to join you this morning to provide an update from the State Water Resources Control Board. So there has been a lot happening. Let's see here. So our annual priorities. So every year, the State Water Resources Control Board takes an effort to take a look at all of the work that's occurring and prioritize that work. Historically, that has ended up with a long list of priorities. And so this year we engaged in some discussions to reorganize that document to better communicate what are going to be the priorities that are going to be what we've called immediate priorities, which we're defining as items that are going to have an action that comes in front of the board this calendar year, and then ongoing priorities, which are actions that they're activities that the staff are working on that the board considers to be priorities, but they're not going to have an action that's going to come in front of the board this year. So it's not that it's not a priority. It's not that it's something the board is not working on, but it is just that there's not going to be an action this calendar year. In addition, we added a third category, which are programmatic priorities. So those are programs that are high priorities, which may span across different divisions and offices within the State Water Board. And they may have actions that are coming in front of the board. There may be programs where we are rolling out or implementing various different actions. And so some of those include Sigma, our SAFER program, our storms program. And so different programs may elevate to that level to where they are ones to where we are really emphasizing additional staffing and work throughout the calendar year, this calendar year and beyond. So that there, April 7th, we finalized that document, and that document is posted now to our webpage. And so just wanted to go through that because usually that is something that is done really early in the calendar year. It's already been posted. It's already been out there. This year it took a little bit longer because we were really redefining and trying to really make it a little more streamlined and moving some of the work that was landing on that work plan that was core workload to an appendix. And so to where you can see that, hey, this is where our core workload is. This is work that we're going to continue to be doing. It's not going away. It is core workload that the water board staff does every day. So changing subjects over to Sigma, a lot's been going on there. So Delta Mendota groundwater subbasin was returned to DWR for continued evaluation and assessment. That was done at our April 7th board meeting. Also on April 7th, the state board adopted a resolution excluding groundwater pumpers in the Tule subbasin who extract no more than 20 acre-feet per year and do not extract from wells located within 2 miles of the Friant-Kern Canal from reporting and fee requirements on the basis that these groundwater pumpers on the basis that these groundwater pumpers have a minimum impact on groundwater extractions. Then on March 19th, the State Board released for public comment an analysis of 8 exclusion requests submitted by the Tule subbasin based on assertions of adequate management under Sigma. The requests either claim that the GSAs had a balanced water budget or provide information to substantiate the extractions within the GSA area are adequately managed through implementation of an applicable groundwater sustainability plan. If the exclusions are granted. The pumpers within the GSAs would be excluded from SIGMA reporting and fee requirements at the April 21st, so next Tuesday. At the state board meeting, the board will be considering these requests. If the board takes action along with the staff recommendation, that would be to deny the exclusion request. The board can also take other actions regarding the reporting and fee requirements within the sub-basin. So stay tuned. We are basically there's a wide variety of actions that can be taken and will be considered during the board meeting. So let's see here. So our administrative hearing office, the AHO, has prepared on behalf of the State Water Resource Control Board a draft decision regarding the Sites Reservoir project that has been sent out for public comment. Just want to remind you all that I am on ex parte for that one, so we'll not be able to discuss it, but the draft decision is out there for public comment. Right now, it is in favor of the project. There's other pieces of the decision that are within there and within the draft permit. So those are both posted on our webpage. Also under our AHO office, which I am also on, ex parte on, is our Delta Conveyance Project, and which is with the AHO. And so on March 27th, staff released an evidentiary ruling letter within the proceeding. The protestants' rebuttal portion of the DCP hearing will begin in June. And there's also additional information on that hearing on our webpage. So Ag Expert Panel, thank you again for your staff's participation on the panel and attending the workshops. So that a report has been posted and comments will be accepted on the report through until noon on April 30th. So the integrated report, let's see, so on March 3rd, State Board released the 2026 California Integrated Report final documents and summary of comments and responses that can all be found on the program website. Then on April 15th, yesterday, no, that would be on Wednesday. Yeah. The State Water Board announced a solicitation of surface water quality data and information to inform the 2030 California Integrated Report. The data solicitation notice provides a data and information solicitation cutoff date of August 10th. The 2030 California Integrated Report will focus on surface water bodies such as rivers, streams, lakes, reservoirs, estuaries, lagoons, bays, and ocean waters. So basically all surface waters. Any data collected and submitted and accepted into the database prior to the cutoff date will be considered. And for Region 5, that will include the Sacramento River sub-area of the Central Valley region, which is defined as the Sacramento River watershed and includes the mainstream of the Sacramento River, upstream of the legal boundary of the delta, and all surface waters tributary to the mainstream. So let's see, changing over to on-site treatment and reuse. So the standards were developed and adopted. We sent those over, we finished that process over back in November. The rulemaking started in March. Everything was submitted over to Office of Administrative Law, OAL, on March 10th. And so we are anticipating a response by the end of this month. And then the regulations will be effective upon approval from OAL and filing with the Secretary of State. So those should become finalized and go into and become effective here coming up pretty soon within next couple of weeks. So proposed emergency regulations for electronic reporting of drinking water quality data. The State Board is accepting public comments on the proposed emergency regulations currently, and the comments are due by noon on April 30th. So there's a lot of comment periods going on right now. We will be considering the adoption of the proposed emergency regulations at our June 2nd board meeting. So the wastewater and recycled water volumetric annual reporting requires the entry of volumes of acre feet per month of influent, effluent, and if applicable, recycled water use from wastewater and recycled water facilities to track progress towards the state's recycled water goals. The 2025 report is open for data submittal. It opened in January, and the data is due on April 30th. And so once that is all complete, there will be a public workshop at the State Water Board to hear the results of that effort. Clean Water State Revolving Fund. So staff are preparing the draft intended use plan for state fiscal year 26-27. The planned release date currently is April 27th. There would be a board workshop to receive public comments. That's tentatively scheduled for May 19th. Let's see here. Stakeholder meetings are currently occurring for fees. The water quality certification fees. There is one that's upcoming on April 22nd at 1 p.m. And then the Wastewater Needs Assessment Advisory Group. The group has been meeting quarterly, and the next meeting will be on April 24th. I believe it starts at 9:30 a.m. And so the group has been there on to their second phase. They have been collecting data, also doing some machine learning to identify wastewater systems throughout the state that may be at risk. And so taking a look at all wastewater systems throughout the state and looking at the criteria that will go into determining at-risk systems. They've been working with all of the regional boards, including Region 5 here, to make sure that the data that is going into this analysis is the data that we need, refining that data and coming up with a list of systems. And so looking at systems that are failing or at risk, looking really to following what is happening in the drinking water program, so that once we have the initial report is something that we can duplicate every year, we can go through and really have a better understanding of what's happening within the state of what is the need for systems that is out there. And also we can better serve those systems that are in need. So that is an ongoing effort. They are working on what will be that initial list. That is something that is in draft form now that they are looking to finalize and get out for public review. So stay tuned. That effort there is moving along nicely, and it's a lot of work and a lot of effort, not only just from State Board staff, the advisory group of, I want to say it's like 32 people throughout California that are helping, University of Massachusetts, Sac State, UCLA, Luskin Center, and all the regional boards. All the regional boards are putting in a tremendous effort also to really help guide this effort. Last item that I will mention is the cannabis cultivation program. And so this is one that we have not provided an update on recently, or we regularly provide an update. I'm not going to go into all the details. There has a great report and a great update that is included in the last State Board Executive Director's report. So just want to let everyone know that that is there if you are interested. So, that concludes my report this time, and I am happy to answer any questions. I know that it was a lot happening with the year kicking off, and, keep us on our toes.
A lot of meaty stuff there, Nicole. Thank you for that. I do want to highlight for board members, I do encourage, obviously, all of those topics are important topics, but do want to highlight the Ag Expert Panel Report. There's some really good stuff in there. Would encourage folks to certainly read that. With that, any comments, questions otherwise for Nicole?
Hi, Board Member Morgan. Thank you so much for that comprehensive report. I'm always very excited to see projects move through the SAFER program. And I just have a quick technical question about that. I understand the original bill put a sunset to the appropriation for 2030. Has there been an extension for that very much needed funding?
I cannot remember the date, but there was a slight extension. Apologize, I don't have all the details quite memorized at this time. So we are continuing, and as always, funding somewhat ebbs and flows, but yes, we are continuing with the SAFER program. It does, I want to say maybe another 5 years, but don't quote me on that. I will get back to you on the exact date of what we're looking at. But we are, I'll say that I'm proud of what the program has done to date, and that we're been able to communicate the success of that program. And thus, we are really looking to the success of the SAFER program as we are looking at the wastewater needs assessment and really looking at really documenting and continuing the effort on both sides, drinking water and wastewater, to really communicate not only internally but externally what the needs are within our drinking water infrastructure and our wastewater infrastructure throughout the state.
I just had a quick comment, and it's in regards to some of the work that's been happening with the state assistance on the water operators program. We've had some people in our community that have participated in it. And, it's something we've been asking for some time, that we coordinate and the disadvantaged communities, how we can all work together to provide the essential services. So that program seems to be up and running. We have people within our community that have participated. It's going to help our region. It's going to help our disadvantaged communities for sure with the operator assistance. And then also just acknowledging that a meeting that I attended, I think it was a week ago, with Self-Help Enterprises. They're working with the communities and addressing the cost of electricity for the wells and the booster pumps, and trying to identify ways to deal with PG&E and the electric grid, and how we can access some of that electricity to help us reduce the cost. So I'm simply saying that the work that the State Water Board is doing to help disadvantaged communities is important right now, and it's really beneficial in helping us address many of the needs, because the cost for electricity is the biggest cost for the community services districts, and where's the money going to come from? But the work that the State Water Board is doing to help in those situations is much appreciated. So I wanted to just acknowledge that. Thank you.
And thank you. I want to thank you for your ongoing work and your feedback. It's very important we have great community leaders who are leading the efforts, and then also the feedback, as it helps us to take that feedback and continue to grow and improve our programs. And thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. All right, at this point, I think before I adjourn the meeting, I want to go back to yesterday. Oh,
Information item.
which one did I skip? Oh, my apologies. I guess I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm goal oriented. So yes, number 9. So this is informational item, a pilot project for management and recycling of waste streams from nitrate drinking water treatment systems. Phil Chandler will provide an overview of the management and recycling systems from nitrate drinking water systems. This is informational only. No action will be taken. The board will be able to ask questions and provide direction to staff. So we'll now hear for the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning. And I'm really gratified to be able to present the results of a multi-year, multi-agency project in the San Joaquin Valley. The picture on the screen right now, I've deliberately chosen. What a segue from the previous presenter about SAFER. Woodville, love Woodville. 600 homes, The treatment plant in the front is funded by a Prop 50 program that has been really underpinning our research in the Central Valley. And it's tied in with the groundwater protection because when drinking water treatment systems are operational using ion exchange, which is a really best available technology, well known, it needs regeneration that requires salt and creates brine, which is the enemy of the groundwater salinity, as we well know. So my project today that I'm representing comes from a number of agencies, but actually has its roots in 2008 Senate Bill SBX 21, which then became the groundwater report to legislator that Thomas Harter's group did out of UC Davis. I come into this story because that work encouraged an English company to look at removal or recycling of waste brine from ion exchange. My background, 40 years of engineering. I used to work for Applied Materials in Santa Clara. And I also volunteered for Sustainable Silicon Valley. I knew people in UC Davis. We came over from England and independently tested our ion exchange with brine recycling, because that seemed to fit the need that was being expressed about not putting brine into city sewers, that sort of thing. I then met Dr. Jeannie Darby, who is a force of nature under Thomas Harter as well. And that became Proposition 50, is that by 2015 and 18, Jeannie Darby put together with the team Proposition 50, $5 million worth of grant funding, with the express purpose of putting treatment plants into the San Joaquin Valley rather than just perpetual investigation. The highlighted goal is very much the idea being that you could put a treatment plant in, but who's going to operate it? Where's the eco structure? It takes a village to raise a child. Is that by putting treatment plants in without thinking through where the support comes from and the consumables and disposals was something that required collective thinking. The result of that Prop 50, as was witnessed last year, is that the first treatment plant that we opened in Rio Bravo Greeley School, Buttonwood, outside of Bakersfield, is the picture there you got of all the balloons. So this project actually did deliver 2 treatment plants, one serving safe and affordable water to 1,400 children at Rio Bravo, who have been getting bottled water for the last 7 years. And we've weaned them off that, and they're onto the drinking water fountains now. So I'm going to talk to you today, and the why you sat there listening to me. The short-term recommendation is emerging out of this immediate work is a lot of hard data and numbers about actually running the plants in this area. And then the strategic plan, and really fits in with SAFER, two of their 5 goals, is that it really nicely fits with, you've got a lot of data and information. We've got now real information on cost and how that fits. The first thing I learned is that if you're going to put an ion exchange system into the San Joaquin Valley, you've got to get rid of the brine in an environmentally responsible way and not let it get into the groundwater basin. That took me through a bit of a journey. I used to work with Clean Harbors in my previous life, and found their treatment plant out in Buttonwillow. And in the treatment plant, which is the picture there, that is on the right-hand side, as I look at it, a 50 million gallon evaporation pit for non-hazardous waste. When I first looked at it in 2012, it was bone dry and empty. Now it's full of non-hazardous waste. Kind of just gets that image in your head about the stresses that become from 10 years ago when I started this, is that there's always more people, always more waste. But that is now a shared service that takes the brine from the 2 sites that we've installed. It's environmentally sustainable. We put the brine into the pit on the right-hand side. It evaporates at around about 15,000 gallons a day, creating a sediment, and that is keeping it out of the basin. You have to get salt to create the brine. Nobody was delivering bulk salt into the San Joaquin Valley before we started. And if I'm trying to sell ion exchange systems, which I was back in the day, but I'm not now, it was, well, you have to encourage businesses in the San Joaquin Valley. How do you do that? You have to start talking to them and thinking of their business. So what's going to get them across the grapevine? So as an engineer, the classic things I do, well, it should cost this, then you've got to make a profit. I'm not going to overpromise you, but this is presenting to suppliers business opportunities, and that became true. Step Saver, who collect the regulated salt from Long Beach, Morton Salt, come over and supply salt to Rio Bravo and to Woodville now. So now we've got a commercial company. This is a grant to seed the treatment plants. They are attracting the suppliers where they didn't serve the market before. And you have to truck the material around. You think that's a simple thing. I heard horror stories of companies dumping the waste in ditches when I first started. So I used to follow the trucks to the waste disposal site myself, just for kicks, to see if they turned up. And in that process, we found Mashburn and Charlie there. One of the staff members' kids go to Rio Bravo. It's all building that ecosystem of suppliers that are sustainable, that are part of your own business. So this is the money. Here we go. It's a spreadsheet, but we'll dwell on it for a minute. This is Woodville's Ion Exchange treatment plant. This is a treatment plant serving the 600 disadvantaged homes in that community. The numbers under the Q4 2025, which is October, November, December last year, they supplied 16 million gallons of water to the community. 16% of that had to be treated because Woodville's 2 wells are contaminated with nitrate above the maximum contaminant level. Woodville is my dream scenario for this project. They've got 2 wells. One's got 8 parts per million, just at the limit. Another one's got 11. It's wildly variable depending on seasons. It's not a theory, it's real practice of what we're actually used to using. So the numbers in that column, Q4, are the dollar bills. They are the invoices. They are the numbers they have spent. And down the bottom, in my world, we talk about a cost of operation per 1,000 gallons because it makes sense to most people of how much additional operational cost you're going to load. For the regeneration, which is buying the salt and then operating the regen system and dumping that regen waste into Buttonwillow, works out about 93 cents a 1,000 gallons. 5 years ago, when we put the Prop 50 together, we were aiming for sub $1 at that 2,000 pricing. So we've achieved that. The number below it includes the pumping energy, the people, the complete operation of that plant. If I'm trying to pay my bills at home, it's a bit late if I don't know what's going to be the invoices dropping on my doormat. The other column is that we data track the system and start to forecast out what it's going to cost for this quarter just closed. Because the invoices are going to turn up, you've got 30 days to pay, all that sort of stuff. And now it becomes, well, what's the budget planning? And that's one of my key learnings in this whole project, is to actually make sure you've got that budget responsibility. But by doing this work now, we've got the data to inform folks for setting ratepayer determinations and all that sort of good stuff, because now we can look at these numbers and extrapolate those into similar communities that have the same water issues as Woodville. And that takes me to the previous speaker, which was fantastic, because I'm on the same subject, is that you've got so many fragmented data sources. But if I flip this around and I want to sell your water treatment system, as I've been helping people do this week, what do you walk in the door? You do this. You go, can you tell me your flow? Can you tell me the volume that you use? Can you tell me what your water quality is? Because all that data becomes the specification sheet for working out what the size of the equipment is and how much it's going to cost to run. You've got all that data. It's in the groundwater information system. There's a bit of it there. There's a bit of it in Drinking Water Watch. Bless your group, Adam, for finding in a division of drinking water, the Produce Water 2022. There's all these databases that we've started pulling down, and we can create that. We actually know what you are now. There are 422 water agencies in 13 counties, 603 wells within those that have a nitrate content above 80% of the MCL. What we can do with the data now is that with Ecolab Purolite, who manufacture the resin, big company, we can actually apply their forecasting tools and tell those agencies what it should cost to treat. And of course, they're never going to treat every well because treatment's the last resort. You know, you're going to get an interconnection, you're going to blend, you're going to abandon, you don't want to do treatment. But now they can use that data to inform those private discussions that I shouldn't be anywhere near, which is, what's my compliance plan for the community? What big choices am I going to make? Oh, I've got well 33. We can now tell them with this data pool of what it would cost to actually treat that well from the real data we're getting from Woodville. For the first time, also, the big news, you know how much salt you're going to pull into the 13 counties if everyone did it. And you're going to know how much brine waste volume you produce. And it stops being this theoretical number. It starts being something that we can keep dynamically up to date as we keep the database going and informing that. If it's going to be 6 million gallons of brine, it's going to be 60 million. If it's 6 million, companies like Clean Harbor are really keen to build another evaporation pit. Or there are other alternatives to using sodium chloride as well. But until you get that, this is the reveal moment, really. But it all comes from the people in my head. So the pictures on there, he says, looking at his clock, is that if I'm professionally selling to you, Patrick's going to kill me for this next comment. I look at trends to solutions. What are trends to solutions? I'm looking for the top table of things you're told to do. And then the top table cascade down to the people who have to do the work. All these things. And so when you look at the top trends, when I talk to the water system owners that I deal with, water production cost is number one, because you're trying to work out how much that's going to cost. You've got to do your ratepayers assessments. You've got to balance the books. Very quickly, number two, 442 water agencies. Where are you going to find the people? They need a skill set. They need education. And if you do make a great person, you lose them, because somebody else is going to poach them. So you end up with this massive problem of a rapid need of skilled staff, people like me getting old, retiring, all that sort of stuff, not yet. And so you go down this list, and people like Rene, proudly holding his water permit for Rio Bravo that this project gave him, and also Ralph at Woodville with Rene sharing their experience on the treatment plants there. Is that the learning that comes out of this is that one of the key things is that trying to do complex water treatment on every well is a losing game, because you've got all that complexity out there waiting to go wrong. 10 years ago, I would have sold you a very complex water treatment system. With the benefit of experience, I'm now going completely the opposite way, which is that everything that you add to it, like a sensor, it becomes a computer program. And that black comment at the bottom there is Ralph about 3 weeks ago going, it's a nightmare. I'm a water operator. I'm not a computer programmer. So the less stuff you have at the well, that demands that you actually provide an ecosystem of service to actually deal with looking after those machines. One answer to this that is currently in play for hexavalent chromium is actually working to think of, well, maybe the treatment system can be something a bit like GAC treatment, where you have service providers who come to the site, effectively regeneration as a service. So instead of having all the equipment on the site, it's actually on the truck, and the truck brings the salt water to the site. The truck regens the larger columns that have got less stuff on them, and that truck takes away the waste. And all of a sudden, you haven't got to get people's skills at 442 places. You haven't got a lot of equipment sitting there doing nothing quite a lot of the time. But it's disruptive, right? Because there is, at the moment, a way that you do things. There is a best known method. And so this project, Prop 50 and this work, is that we're starting to attract commercial companies, not state funded now, and they're asking questions of, why do you do that? Why don't we do this? I would like to get 20 years of service from your business. And that challenges some of the established regulations and Division of Drinking Water are being excellent, is that trying to find a pathway through this to actually come up with a validation process that says that this is something that is safe for public health. It turns a profit for the supplier and is safe and affordable drinking water rates for the communities that they serve, is the balance and the key recommendation really that we would like to keep going initially with the data collection. The big bucks are spent from the state money, which is collecting the data. Now there is in my language, flipping this completely the other way, it's now you're into a business case thinking, which is how are you going to attract East Coast financiers of equipment providers to come and serve your need? They've got to make a profit. And the reason they haven't, and I know this from 15 years of trying to do it, it's too fragmented. It's too hard. You can't go and sell to 442 companies. You can't, it's just, and what are the rules? What are the regulations? So what the biggest benefit out of this Prop 50 work is that we got a miniature multi-agency group all working together. We've delivered 2 water treatment systems. It's happening. And now we feel that with the SAFER program, and I read 2 days ago that you'd taken 1.6 million folks without safe and affordable drinking water down to 800,000. The next bit is the hard yards, because now you're into what I would call tier 3, tier 4. That starts to be really small systems, and they haven't got people and they haven't got a lot of money. But if you can start to create a service infrastructure that is excited and desires to treat them, then their distress, you want to turn it into desire that people can make money, and you can provide safe and affordable water. You'll probably be wonderfully glad to know I'm near the end. So sodium chloride. The alternative to sodium chloride is to substitute sodium chloride with another chloride source that instead of bringing salt to the valley, that you can potentially use potassium chloride. So one English company on the screen there, they are pioneering working with using potassium chloride instead of sodium chloride, and that the residue that now comes off of the ion exchange process is of interest to fertilizer manufacturers. High potential, but again, you've got such a fragmented market. This is called a circular economy. The idea is that, you're the fertilizer becomes this and all that sort of stuff. But the problem with it is you've got to do the economics, and you've got to have joined up economics in the San Joaquin Valley to understand, well, if I'm going to make this material, you're buying the fertilizer already. So mine has got to be less than yours, but I've got a cost to make it. But it was fascinating yesterday. One of my other customers up in Willows, he's a rice farmer, and he was telling me that the fertilizer costs are going through the roof because of the current situation. So all of these things need data that comes from, well, what's the current cost? And that's what we've now got from Woodville and Rio Bravo, which is very, very satisfying. So 2 slides to conclude. The first one I said was going to be the short-term recommendation. So Prop 50, Jeannie Darby, I love it a bit, is that she put together a collective, and we've executed through quite COVID and all the rest of it, 2 water treatment systems. The Rio Bravo one, for those of you colleagues who actually went to cut the ribbon last year, those kids are amazing. And I did a presentation like this, and I was blown away with the STEM thinking. It's like, I don't see a lot of kids in here, right? So it's like from them, they were asking me questions about career paths. And that is just so satisfying. I mean, the major thing though, we now give safe and wholesome water to 1,400 kids. We gifted 2 water refill stations that are getting used. We weaned them off the plastic bottles. And now that the bottled water program is completely eliminated. They're back to drinking groundwater. Woodville is about to come online and be permitted. It's a much bigger deal. The big lesson of Woodville, storage. Spend the money on water storage, don't spend it on equipment complexity. Because storage, so Woodville, for example, its water wells used to turn on 100 times a day. They had no storage. So they were just filling up a pressure tank. Now the pumps come on 4 times a day. So you guess what? You can run them in the quiet energy time. All of that stuff, because the wells get hammered by that sort of behavior. So short-term recommendation, we'd love to continue the data harvesting from Woodville and Rio and to quantify the treatment service to find out the true cost of operation for the 600 wells, for the 442 agencies, and to tell you guys what the total salt volume coming, if all of them were treated, how many tons of salt would have to come up here, and also how much ton of brine we would make in the process. Then you can think about the service infrastructure. There's a lot of acknowledgements on that slide. And some of the folks that I've met along the journey, like Jan McKinley and all those folks, and Carl Longley and Eugene Lang have been brilliant to me. I came into this knowing nothing because I'm from a different industry, and they've been fabulous. The big wish list slide is the last one. Apart from there's a picture of me presenting to the kids at Rio Bravo, and I do keep going back there because it's so satisfying. Got to have a legacy, you know, that's what you do in life. I say the data informs the state to have, as I said, a statewide impact assessment. So this is a multi-agency problem. I think SAFER is amazing. That's emerged during my time. I was doing this when it was CDPH, and who knows where all the files are. So DDW has a SAFER program, DFA has funding subject to affordability, regional board, and CV Salts. It's like we've got a miniature version of this running right now for Woodville. It's going to dissipate soon because when we cut the ribbon on that one, all this in people's heads starts to go on to the next thing. So the recommendations that have been bubbling up are, could we do a cross-agency team, continue what we're doing, but actually get the real data together and go, okay, how do you deal with 400? How do you attract commercial investment? And actually the service investment, as I showed that Renee and Ralph on the previous slide, this is a career path stuff. When you've got companies laying off people by email with a your job's been eliminated, water ain't going anywhere. And it's a great skill because I'm sat here, stood in Clovis, talking to you folks, and I'm a guy who left school in the south of England at the age of 15 because my dad had it out of it. So it's like, it's great. The kids are interested and it's building up that desire, and it's perfect STEM territory for the questions I was getting. And Jeannie Darby says it's best. This is her phrase. The whole point of this project is to deliver affordable, safe and wholesome drinking water to serve the underserved. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was very informative, and I definitely have some follow-up questions, but I do want to open up for public comment first. We'll do that, and then we'll have a board discussion and a little Q&A. So at this point, Mindy, do we have any commenters on this item?
No commenters.
Okay, no commenters. I'll open up to the board for discussion.
Yeah, I just start off by thanking you. That was really comprehensive and exciting. I like to see somebody who can tie the technology that you started within with the financial longevity that's required to make it really effective across the Central Valley. I guess I would ask you, you kind of touched on it, but what do you see based on where you are right now? Where are your greatest challenges to make this, to scale it, I guess?
Scale it. That's where I was going with that, Mark.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge is to scale it is pretty much going to be on the waste infrastructure, but the skill sets more than anything else. You know, so the challenge is to consolidate and encourage large companies capable of providing that investment. So the company doing Rollout Region, they've put $3 million down. That's not state funding. So, but you've got to create a business desire. You've got to actually create the business plan for them, which is, quite frankly, something that you can see how to do it now. Before, it's all been a bit going, well, that was me, right? 2010, I've been up and down Highway 99 more than you care to imagine. And it's talking to you folks, the collective view, is that the challenge now is that we have a lack of skills to do this within a 4-year term. But if you encourage large companies to invest and provide those skill sets, so that Roll Up Regen company I mentioned, they've trained 14 of their staff to be DDW T2 high grade operators, and they're going to move around. So that's the biggest challenge is skill set, but it can be overcome by to present a picture to companies who want to invest.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in with the aspect you brought up about mobile treatment instead of putting all the infrastructure on top of every water system. Yeah.
It's a model that GAC, granular activated carbon, have done for years.
Right.
It's just, there are challenges, because there's protecting public health. Nitrate is an acute, it's once you go over the limit, it's reportable. So that's why I'm a big fan of storage as well.
Yeah.
Giving yourself a buffer. One of the other latent challenges you must be very careful of is also cybersecurity. Just this very week, the administration published a CSIA guidance on actors trying to cyber attack control. The more complex controls you have at the wellhead with folks who, quite frankly, if you're having to get out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning for the 3rd time because the thing has stopped working, you're kind of going to go, oh, can I get access to that? And in the UK, that has been clamped down, but it is something I see in this territory as a natural reaction to the lack of people is how can I do this sort of things cyber safe? And it is genuinely from the administration last week, they were advising water companies to disconnect their systems from the internet for that very reason. But those big trends to solution stuff, I mean, it's sales is a taught thing. They are, and so a lot of the staff that are in your groups, I think, would really benefit from understanding how to be sold to. What are commercial companies looking for as much? And it is something that in our little group, I teach our lot, is, well, this is how you're being taught, right? Because you're going to trends to solutions and you want all your customers nodding at you like you start to. Because you got that, it's doing the dance, right? It's a mutual trust and respect. I've got to make money, you've got to make money, but this is a problem to solve.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I have one last question. I know ion exchange is pretty energy intensive. Is the electricity availability and cost another challenge that is being dealt with?
So what do you mean in the manufacturing of the resin or in the operation of the plant?
The operation of the plant.
No, actually. So the energy intensity is quite low because the only electrical pump, there is back pressure if I think of the different elements to it. So if you install ion exchange onto a typical current wellhead, it puts about 10 to 15 pounds pressure extra. So that's its primary additional energy drain but it's also, you're putting it on pumps that, a key thing in Rio Bravo and Woodville, both their well pumps have failed, not related to the ion exchange, but just for old age, right? The casings are going, all that stuff. But the highest energy consumption is the hidden one in that, which is the extra head against the pump, I would suggest.
Thank you.
So.
Yeah, I'm intrigued on the capital stack as well, but any other comments from folks? Please, Denise.
Yeah, I just had a brief comment. I appreciated the presentation and the fact that you made the point that the skill set is where it's really needed to help people be able to, just like I spoke a moment earlier about the water operators, there's a need for that skill set, and hopefully the commercial industry will see a need for public service, just talking out loud and want to be a part of a solution. But I heard you make the comment, and I wanted to ask the question about it. You said weaned off the bottled water. Is that happening?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's certain things that personally I can't talk about. One of the times I drove around and I saw a billboard not far out, and it was saying like a bottle of water was $2 and a bottle of soda was $1, right? And at Rio Bravo, it was true. I would see the bottled water in the big waste bags, and as they got older, it became soda over there. And I wonder why we all get type 2 diabetes. I'm the worst offender for drinking Coca-Cola. Other drinks are available, but they have stopped drinking. And it was great fun with the division colleagues who opened it
Mhm.
because the kids were up for it.
Mhm.
There's a bit of, it's like my little army of influencers, water bottles the size of backpacks.
Mhm.
It's all of that stuff. And it's like when we go to Woodville, I really think there should be, as part of this project, drinking water dispensers for disadvantaged communities, because it is that weaning people off
Mhm.
what is essentially reverse osmosis water. Some good stuff in groundwater.
Mhm.
It's good for your bones and all the rest of it. So yeah, don't get me started on that because I'll probably say something inappropriate.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, are there any other comments from board members? Okay, then we are adjourned. Oh,
Sorry. We are done with this item. However, I do need to announce that we do have a closed session.
we do.
It'll be short. But we do need to discuss item I on the closed session list, which is the Jamestown mine. We are not fully adjourned. I believe we do have a separate conference room that we can go to, and for Art, we do have a separate Zoom link for you for closed session.
We're adjourned.